Hello everyone, Lady Joyful here from the Joyful Soul Creates, and I am back with a 10 cards 1 kit video using the Simon Says Stamp Valentine's card kit. It's been a while since I last did a 10 cards 1 kit video, so I'm glad I'm getting back into them. For my first card I am using the Neenah Desert Storm card that came in the kit, and I made a card base with that, and then I'm using Simon Says Stamp Beige ink and stamping a pattern across the card base. I used the pizza and pizza slice, as well as the largest heart and the smallest heart from all of these are from the Foodie Friends stamp set that came in the kit. I'm just stamping it all to make a kind of random pattern across the card. I then used a piece of the pattern paper and die cut it with a Sizzix heart framelit to make a focal point on the center of the card, and I'm stamping my sentiment, which is also from the same stamp set, onto a snippet of black card using white embossing powder. Then I heat emboss that off screen, and I'm just trimming it down with my craft knife, and I will wipe away the anti-static powder that I'd put on there. And then I will just check that I'm happy with the layout. I decided to trim the ends off just a little bit, as it was a little bit long on either side. Then I'm going to use double-sided tape to adhere the heart onto the card base. And for the sentiment panel, I'm using foam squares to pop it up. I have these black foam squares that I don't use very often, so I thought I'd use those. And I'm just using my T-square ruler to make sure I get it straight, although I still managed to get it wonky somehow. So card number 2 is I wanted to use the typewriter from the stamp set. And the pattern paper pack had this text-based paper, it's just X's and O's. So I cut a large panel of that to use, and then I stamped the typewriter onto a snippet of white card, and I'm colouring it in pink with my Spectrum Noir Illustrator markers. I've put the caps in view so that you can see which numbers I am using. The reason I decided to go with pink is because I knew I would be using the pink card base, and I also used the pink ribbon, so I wanted it all to tie in together. And I will also use grey for the other areas of the typewriter, the keys and whatnot. The paper I'm using the eggshell coloured Spectrum Noir marker, and I will blend that out just with the blender pen, just to give a little bit of colour to the paper. Then the greys for the rest of the typewriter, these are Yosoo alcohol markers because I don't have grey Spectrum Noir markers, at least not yet. So I'm using just a slightly darker grey to add in my shadow areas, and then I will blend that out with my lightest grey. And just because I wanted it to be very light, I don't even put the lightest grey all the way across. I then blend out with my blender pen just to keep it very, very light. I do like these, the little typewriter and all the food stamps. I think they're really cute. I actually made a whole load of little note cards using the stamps from the stamp set, and I will have a video of those coming up on Wednesday. I think I was going to post it, if I can get it done in time. It should be ready, so it should be up on Wednesday, so keep an eye out for that. And if it's past Wednesday when you watch this, there should be a link for it. I'll try to remember to come back and add a link in here to that video so you can see the other cards I made with the stamp set. I had a lot of fun playing with them all. Okay, so then when I finished all my colouring, I took my scissors and I just very carefully fussy cut the image out. I originally was going to leave a white line all around, but I actually prefer fussy cutting right up to the line. I just find it easier to do that way, so that's what I did. Then I took the Doodlebug ribbon that came in the kit. I put some double-sided tape on the back of it to make it easier to adhere in place and wrapped it around my panel. I then used double-sided tape to pop up my typewriter and sentiment over it. And then we'll move on to card number 3. This is inspired by one of the cards I made in my with the January card kit, which I used recently. I didn't do a video for that one, but it's over on my blog and I can put a link to that if you're interested. So I'm using the red glitter Heidi Swapp washi tape, and there will be links to everything down below so that you can find anything that you want to use from the kit. The kit itself is, I believe, sold out now. There were these rub-on sheets that came with the kit, and I really liked this heart, so I decided to use that. I'm just rubbing it on to a piece of white card. I've not used this kind of thing before, and as pretty as it is, I did have a lot of trouble with it. You can see there's already bits missing from the end of the arrow. I have no idea where that was. That part of the transfers just disappeared, and I kept managing to rub off bits that I didn't mean to rub off, but luckily the heart stayed intact, so I die cut that once I'd got it all rubbed on. And then I will pop it up on foam tape. And then there's these little heart brads that came in the kit, and I wanted to add a couple of those, but I didn't want to poke them through my card base. So I'm just using some snips to cut off the legs, I guess, of the brads, and then I will just fold the sharp ends in and I will adhere them. Initially I was going to try and use a foam square, but that didn't work quite as well as I would have liked, so I used glossy accents instead, which worked fine. For card number 4, I decided I would use some of the stickers. So I cut myself 3 panels of pattern paper, and then I'm using the fruity stickers from the sticker sheet and placing them onto my squares. And I also used a little speech bubble. I thought that fitted quite well with them. And then once I was happy with how they were all placed, I used my anti-static powder tool to remove the sticky from the overhang bits, and as you can see I changed my mind about what colour card base to use. Then I'm popping up the 2 pink squares on foam tape, so the square with the, I guess that's a lemon, and the pineapple. And then for the 3rd square, the frontmost square, I wanted it to overlap but also be further popped up, so there's 2 layers of foam tape on the bit that will be on the card base and just one where it overlaps to make sure it's even. Card number 5 is kind of a similar layout to number 4, and this time I used hearts instead of squares. I did another heat and sentiment and just slipped that in behind the hearts. The 2 pink and white hearts will go, I will adhere those flush to the card base, and I'm going to adhere the sentiment just flat on the card base as well. And then this pink one is going to be popped up on foam tape. And then I'm taking some of the I think it was Takeout sprinkles that came in the kit, and I'm just adding those to each of the hearts. I thought they were really cute and they go well with the sentiment and they fit perfectly in those hearts. And I did use all 3 of those, which completes that card. Number 6, I decided to go just very simple. I die cut a heart again from one of the pattern papers. I used a kind of crafty patterned one, and then took the honey bottle bear sticker. I considered adding a speech bubble, but I didn't quite like how that looked, so I decided against it. This was another one that I went back and forth on what colour card base to use. I was considering the pale pink, but I decided to go for the red because it kind of brought in the red from the bear's hat, or the lid of the bottle. So then I just adhered those all together, and I am going to pop those up with foam tape. So just press that into place, and then I decided to add just a little extra something, and I took 2 of the hearts from the sticker sheet that are the same colour as the sentiment banner that I used, just to help tie in that colour a bit more. For card number 7, I really wanted to use those llama stickers. I thought they were really cute, and I kind of imagined that they are lying down on a blanket together, so I thought this tartan or plaid, however you want to say it, paper would work well because you can imagine that being kind of like a blanket. And then I added a snippet of the X's and O's paper along below it just for a bit of added interest. So then I'm trying to make sure I have the llamas stuck down kind of evenly, so that they're evenly spaced on the card. And I played around with different stickers to go between them. I settled on this one that says "Hey there." I also considered adding some hearts or something else as extra embellishment on it, but in the end I believe I decided not to do that. I'm using my craft mat to make sure everything's lined up properly when I stick the strip on the back, then I will adhere it to the card base. Then we'll move on to card number 8. I'm using some snippets of this striped paper. I'm putting them to the corners, so then I didn't do a whole stripe because I just didn't need to use all that much paper as it's going to be hidden, and that way I can use the rest on something else. I'm using a large snippet of the X's and O's paper, and then I will pop up this other pattern paper with foam tape over the top, and the X's and O's is quite handy because you can kind of line up the other with it. Then I took this bold sentiment sticker from the sticker sheet, and I'm just lining that up, and again the boxes on this pattern paper really help with making sure it's all straight. And that's that one. That was quite simple. Here again I'm using some pattern paper and stickers. I cut down some rectangles of 2 different pattern papers, and then I'm just kind of alternating them, and I'm laying the 3 in place so that I can use them as a guide to where to stick the first one down. And I'm also using my T-square ruler just to make sure I get them as straight as possible. I'm rubbish at getting things straight, but I try my best. So I'll put that one down, and then the one above, and then I'll do the 2 on the other side. I'll do that off camera. I took this heart rosette sticker to be my centre point, and I decided to add one of the banner sentiments under it as well, and I really like that. It's quite simple but it turned out nicely. And the last one again uses pattern paper and stickers. And I'll again use my T-square ruler to make sure I can get this rectangle lined up in the right place and get it straight. Then I used some of the red washi tape. I really like the shine on this washi tape, and it's much less messy than using loose glitter. I think I still have loose glitter everywhere from my January card kit. And then I'm using foam tape to pop up this striped panel, which I think I'd cut a little bit too short, but never mind. And then I will add this little banner, which has foam tape on one side as it's raised on one side. And that's the end of that one. Thank you for watching today's video. Here are a couple more that you may enjoy. You can click here to subscribe and never miss a video, and the like button is below. I look forward to hearing from you in the comments, as well as over on social media and my blog. Happy crafting, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye!